if you could direct your comments to all panelists and attendees, which is the second item on the 2 drop-down window in the chat, and say who you are and where you're joining from. I would love that. I'm Katthe, and I'm from Wadsworth, Illinois. And I'm here with Andrew, who's in Minnesota. Why did we advance?
Sorry about that. I was trying to type something, and I guess PowerPoint thought that meant move forward.
Tammy, welcome, Tammy. Hi, Anna. It's raining there. Yeah, it's not here. It's sunny out here today. Welcome, Michelle. Great to see people. Larissa, welcome. Be sure you're doing to all panelists and attendees. Jennifer, welcome from Sonoma, California, soon to be DeKalb. When are you moving to DeKalb, Illinois? Sherry, welcome. Brenda, welcome. July, got it. We're looking forward to having you in our neck of the woods. Kelly, welcome. And Michelle, Western New York. Yep. Michelle, you used to be in Michigan, didn't you? Yeah? I knew you were in Michigan, didn't I? Robin from DeKalb. Hey, Robin. Welcome. We're going to get started. It's 12 o'clock on the dot, and these are our quick check-ins. So we have done the last number of weeks. We had an introductory week, and then we went through all 6 domains of vitality, and then we went to holistic vitality, and now we're on the recap and deciding where we go from here. So today starts our recap week, and our topic is just today is where are we? Ways to engage, mostly the chat, and if you want to speak, raise your hand. And then Andrew will unmute you. You can unmute yourself and you'll be able to speak. We have agreements in recognition that we co-create this safe space together. Anna is already agreeing. These are our agreements, very basic. If you agree to these agreements, please type in the chat that you agree to the agreements. It's awesome. It's great to see so many of you that have been on this journey with us for the past 8 weeks or so. So we established a baseline for each domain of vitality, and now this week it's time to assess and dive deeper into certain aspects of them over the course of this week. Well, yeah, and it's also, I suggested that you take the assessment and put it somewhere safe, and then we would send it around to do again. So one day this week, we will send it around for you to do again, and then you can compare them and actually see what has happened over the course of this vitality campaign for you. But we're also just going to talk about it without the paper. So over the past 2 months, what changes, in general, what changes have you noticed in yourself from being on this journey to vitality? You know, some of you have been here almost every day. We have our incentives, I should just say we have a database program called Salesforce that we try to manage everybody, all of our contacts in, and we don't have it completely, the glitches worked out of it. So we're working on making sure that we align the incentives with participation, but it's, if you haven't gotten your incentives or the number of incentives that we said for the number of times you've been here, that's why. But we're going to square it all up, promise. Oh, hi, Sandra and Luan. So Denise says she sees herself having more energy. Jennifer says more awareness. Brenda says I'm more aware of me. Tammy says my environment is improved and it's lifting my spirits for sure. Michelle says confidence in who I am and where I want to go moving forward. And Tandra said increased awareness of what I need in the moment and empathy for what others may need. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Andrew says, more appreciation for my vitality process. I'm trying to think about what I would say if I were coming to this journey to vitality. I focused a lot on environmental vitality. I think I'm more gentle with myself around the whole vitality issue. It's interesting. I was like really psyched about having my Fitbit measure everything. And then I signed up for coaching with the Fitbit and took off the tracking of the food, took off the tracking. I just focused on water. And I didn't even I wasn't drinking the 64 ounces recommended every day. So the coach was like, you want to reduce your goals so that you can make it. And, I'm very, usually I'm not really, I don't want to do that usually. I'm usually like, no, I need to have that goal. But I did. I reduced it from 64 to 40. And then she said, what strategies do you have for being able to do that? And I thought that was a really good question. Like, instead of giving me choices or suggesting, she just asked, what strategies do you have for that? And I thought, well, when I wake up in the morning, when I'm brushing my teeth, I can keep a glass in there. I'm going to have a glass of water before I have my coffee. I can do it before every meal. I can do, I thought of my strategies and I'm able to do it. So I guess it's like, but what also happened for me, I'm just full disclosure, and they'll get you out. I'm going to read the chat also, is that I started doing a lot of I started using my elliptical machine and getting 10,000 steps and all of that. And then my knee started hurting. And so for the last 2 weeks, I've just been kind of babying my knee and it feels better. So it's that awareness thing that y'all are talking about. And it's also just kind of becoming more gentle with myself and more compassionate with, what, and more mindful about what really does mean vitality for me. So we have Anna says, realizing that life is too short. I'm retiring this year to enjoy life. Yes, Anna. Robin says, I've increased my self-care so much in 7 weeks. And as a result, the way I love myself has changed drastically. Hey, Robin, I would love to hear more about that. If you would raise your hand, I don't know if you're willing to do that, but it's really intriguing to know about how your self-care has changed and also how you love yourself is related to that. You'll type? Okay. I'd rather have you talk, but okay. Deeper and mindful and extremely intentional. Okay. Deeper and mindful and extremely intentional. I love the idea that the self-care is related to self-love and mindfulness. So that when you shift the perspective from, I'm going to just whip this body and mind and spirit into shape, to I'm going to take care of myself in a loving way, that's really a huge shift. I'm going to be more aware of what I need in the moment and from relationships, from my environment, what I need in my mind, what I need in my body. I'm going to be more aware. So Gladys has her hand raised. Robin says, nowadays I schedule self-care. I schedule time to care for my kids and family, etc., but never myself. In the past, my routines are holding me up and accountable. Scheduling self-care. What kinds of self-care do you schedule, Robin? And does Gladys want to speak?
I can unmute her.
Naima says, I am learning to be intentional. What are you learning to be intentional about, Naima? Who would like to speak? I'm feeling like I would like some people to talk about all these things about self-love, self-care, intentionality, mindfulness. Like, great, Naima. We're going to unmute you and then and then you can unmute yourself and then you can speak. Perfect.
Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not how you
I'm
make
like, I'm sorry. I never knew how like this Zoom kind of worked. I only been on the ones where with the video. So I was like, I don't think I can say nothing. What do they mean unmute? I'm like, I don't see an unmute button, but I am Nashma. And what I mean by saying intentional is just really like in my thoughts and in my actions being intentional, not just going through the motions of things anymore, not just letting life just go by the wind per se, but just being intentional. Like when I wake up, like, okay, what are the plans for the day? You know, what is my plan for myself so that I can stay afloat and not like lose my mind. I'm a wife and a mom of 6, and we've been homeschooling this. We're going into our 3rd year, but a lot of stuff is shut down, so it still affects us as well. But just being intentional with my 1 and 2-year-old and with my children's curriculum, being intentional with making sure they go outside and get time in. And by that, I use the Alexa app a lot. I make her set timers for me to remind me to drink water, remind us to take breaks. And so that's kind of how I've been, doing things. And it's helping to keep my my peace and things like that. And a point that my husband made the other day for me is he said I'm very gracious and kind to a lot of people with the work and things like that I do. And not that I'm not that way here at home, but now it has caused me to make sure that I be intentional with grace and kindness to my spouse and my children, much more than what I give to like the work that I do and different things like that. But saying, you know what, if this was a coworker, if this was a supervisor who said this or did that, or if this was one of the kids I worked with who behaved this way, what would my reaction be? And to make sure to also offer that much more grace to my loved ones here in my house, if that makes sense to anybody.
Oh, it totally makes sense to me. And I was taking notes because I think that those are really great questions to ask. Jennifer says she's feeling that. But the really great questions to ask, what are my plans for the day in the morning? And what are my plans for myself for today? And I also love that we have so many givers on here and so many people whose work is related to caring for people, that caring for the self is really important, but also the whole thing about intentionality about grace and kindness to your spouse and your children in addition to work. Like why am I saving all my grace and kindness for the people that I'm working with, and then treating the people that I love the most in a different way. Those are great. And Robin says making time for friends, making time for quiet space, making good eating choices. Nice. Okay, well now we're gonna, and Tandra says, love your points about grace, Najma. I've started following Nidra Tawab on IG, who is a boundaries expert, because I've found that I need help showing myself grace. And isn't it wonderful that we are turning our attention to ourselves and looking at self-love as continuous with self-care, and that the self-love piece changes everything about boundaries. It changes everything about just feeling deserving of having peace in your life, feeling deserving of having a quality of life that, that you're trying to provide for everybody else, and then figuring out how get into this where you're giving because you need to receive, and you're just feeling like if you just give more, that the other people or the person that you're giving to will reciprocate. It doesn't always happen that way, so it's important to be able to take care of yourself first. I keep hearing Ruben, I know some of you have been at Ruben Mabubi's webinars, and that whole self first is not selfish, and as I keep hearing his words in my mind. So let's dive a little deeper into each of the domains of vitality and take stock of what's happened in the past 2 months to you physically. Like, where are you physically that may be different than you were 8 weeks ago? And I was going to say, like, I started with me, is that I feel like I don't know that I've lost any weight. I don't think I've lost any weight. I don't think that I'm in tremendously better shape. But, and as I said, like, I've actually just given myself a break and realized that I have to go slower. Maybe it's my age, or maybe it's a year of sitting on my butt during COVID, and not having any activity that 10,000 steps is actually a lot. So maybe, if I wasn't even monitoring during COVID, like, but I really wasn't going out that much at all. And I was probably moving only from my bedroom to my kitchen to my office. So I was probably doing less than 1,000 or 2,000 steps a day, really. So 5,000 might be what's right for right now. And just going a little more slowly and being a little bit more gentle with my physical self. And paying attention to things like hair and skin and teeth. I mean, I guess one thing that's happened for me in the last 2 months, and again, it coming out of COVID, is that I finally went to the dentist. And so there's work to be done in my mouth, and getting all of that taken care of is part of what's happened to me physically. Robin says, my body decided to let me know that it needed care, and I listened. Massages, chiropractor, good clean food, increased stressing, so many good changes. And Anna says, I've been released to go back to full exercise and live a normal life after 2 knee replacements. COVID has caused me to look at life differently. How has COVID changed the way you look at life, Anna? Do you want to talk, or do you want to type about that? Unmute Anna, Andrew.
Can you hear me, Katthe?
Yes, I can hear you. A little bit muffled.
Okay, hold on. Let me hit you.
Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
A little better, yeah.
Okay. Well, what I have realized, after taking you guys this, all of the stuff that I've been listening and paying attention, when I started working from home, I started looking around my surroundings, and it kind of opened my eyes to things that I had never really looked at, like how my house had become, how I had become unstable. And I decided that I needed to get all my knees replaced. So I went for having double knee replacement, one back to back. I've always been athletic. I was skinny. I'm not skinny no more. So I'm like with you, Katthe. I'm still trying to lose the weight, but can't get it off. I just was more aware. I don't know. I started realizing that mentally, physically, if I don't take care of myself, then I won't be good for anybody else.
Great. Well, that's great. Like when you hear that, you hear it, and then one day the nickel falls into the slot and you just start living it. I think that's like, you start living the things that you know cognitively,
Right.
but then you just start, okay, so what does it mean for me to live that? What does it mean to live that if I'm not good for myself, I can't be good for anybody else? Thank you so much, Anna.
Yeah, and I just want to make a comment to that. Always remember, you young ladies and young gentlemen, sometimes we're busy being a parent, we're busy being a mom, a dad, we're busy doing everything for everybody else and in your jobs. So I'm a kinship navigator, so I take care of other people, trying to get them the help that they need. But you kind of get lost because you're too busy with everybody else, but then you put yourself aside. So this has made me realize that I need to come first before I can really be fully loving myself and actually being comfortable where I'm at.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Anna. I really appreciate it. And I've appreciated your being on this journey with you.
Yeah, take care of your niece. Go have them checked out. It's not too bad.
Thank you. And Najma, I've always wanted to be off the hamster wheel of the American culture, and COVID-19 made it possible. Great. And Tammy says, yes, she's being more gentle. And I like this. I've always been okay with meeting clients where they are, but often I didn't show myself the same courtesy. I'm doing well, sticking to my low carb plan. I'm making it a point to move a little more each day as my body allows. And my massage therapist reminded me of something that that Tanja Otis, I think, introduced us to in this series, which is eccentrics. I'm going to do it. It's like a $15 a month subscription, but it says aging backwards, and it's really all about flexibility. So it's why is this? I have it off, but have my phone off, but the volume is not, it wouldn't go off. I don't know why. And then Andrew's just talking also about being gentle with himself, and also can be a walk, it can be a run. It's like whatever it is what it can be. Okay, I got the volume down in addition to the volume off. Kanisha, did you raise your hand? Did you want to speak? Did you unmute her, Andrew?
I can unmute her now.
Nisha, did you want to speak, or did you hit that by mistake? We all do that. Okay, let's go to the next domain of vitality. So we've talked a lot, spiritual vitality. Have people seen changes in their energy, or in their positivity, or in their spiritual connection over the past 2 months? Kenesha says, I know I just started doing self-care for myself this March because my oldest daughter said I worry about everybody else except me, but I only do 2,000 steps a day when I feel comfortable to do more. Yeah. I think I've never really listened to the whole, meet yourself where you are and go. I mean, I've always kind of like, part of my success strategy is just, ignoring limitations and doing what they said couldn't be done. So, but really kind of reworking that. Spiritual vitality. Have people seen shifts in their spiritual vitality? This is having positive energy, being filled with positive energy to do your day. It could be your spiritual practice, being more attentive to spiritual practice. I know I have been very, I don't know if it's changed in the last 8 weeks, but I'm very attentive to spiritual practice because I know that when that falls off, everything falls apart. Not immediately, but gradually. And if I'm feeling more cranky, or I'm feeling like emotionally more down, usually I track it back and I haven't been doing my meditation, my prayer, my spiritual practice. So I know that for me, spiritual practice is a foundation to my emotional and mental vitality. How about others? Any spiritual sharings, offerings? Okay, well, we'll go to the next domain. Financial vitality. What's happened with your financial vitality over the last 8 weeks? How has your relationship to money and finances shifted? When was 8 weeks ago, Andrew? When did we start this?
I think we started this April 6th.
Oh my gosh, my financial vitality got a huge boost. I had a huge amount of money, or for me, huge amount of money that just came in as an inheritance in this last 8 weeks. And it's given me the opportunity to enhance my environmental vitality by doing things on this new house that I wouldn't have been able to do without that. And I didn't realize it had, happened in that time. But sometimes that's the other thing, is like things come unexpectedly, but if you're open to it happening, and if you say to the universe or God, or, I'm here and I'm open and I want to expand and I'm ready, things happen. Tammy says she started working a side gig thanks to Serena's side hustle talk. Wow, that's awesome. Tammy, what's your side gig? I've also been thinking about how the house, I mean, I haven't been a homeowner for my whole adult life. I'm just a homeowner now, really. And I'm thinking about how the house can make money for me as well. Oh, you're on the National Parent Katthe leadership team. Cool. That's cool. That's a good side gig. I started all my girls on the Green Line debit card, and we just got them in the mail. I'm using a budget app and following Budget Bootcamp from Jordan Page. That's awesome. And that was another one of our financial vitality was the Greenlight debit card and teaching kids financial literacy. Jennifer has her hand raised. So Jennifer, we'll unmute you.
Hello. I had a similar thing, and this was like, for me, spiritual vitality and financial vitality a little bit combined and a little bit similar to what you're talking about, Katthe. I feel like being the awareness of all of these domains and their interconnectedness helped me kind of connect more to like feel more one with the universe. And I was reading The Power of Flow, as is assigned reading by Be Strong Families. And while I was reading it, I was like, I know right now is the right time to do something. And that is how I found the house that we're purchasing and we're moving. And it has all gone so smoothly. And so that has will improve in the future our financial vitality, being homeowners, I believe, and just the ease of it, because buying a home isn't usually easy, but it has been extremely easy because we've been open to it. So I think this whole journey has kind of coincided with that. And we're really excited about that.
Awesome. And that's also the environmental vitality is going to be integrally connected, the financial, spiritual, environmental connection, you know, which then affects, I mean, any big change.
Emotional.
Yeah. And any big change like that does affect your physical and emotional, you know, it's going to,
Absolutely.
it does all of them. And I guess I put the title of this book in the chat for people. It is kind of required reading for employees at Be Strong Families. What is it, the subtitle, Jennifer? Do you have it in front of you? The Power Flow.
I do not.
It's, I could go get it, but it's about
The Power of Flow, Practical Ways to Transform Your Life with Meaningful Coincidence. I believe that's the one.
I'm writing it down. Meaningful coincidence. It's kind of like the idea is if you pay attention, I used to do an exercise like this as part of my spiritual practice, which I would ask a question to the universe and then I would go for a walk. And when I went for the walk, I would be looking for unusual things like an animal that would come across my path or anything that was different than out of the ordinary. And then I would, you know, go home and Google what is the symbolism of that. And it always, you know, related to the answer. It's like oracle cards do that as well. But meaningful coincidence is like being attentive to what's going on and then going with that flow. So like, for example, if something comes across your feed and you decide to pay attention to it, you know, and then you pay attention to it and it starts unfolding, that you allow yourself to go with that. So it's a really great book. They studied flow masters, which are people who, as Jennifer was saying, like things just seem to open up all the time for them. They get the parking space. So social vitality, I know, Andrew, we've got 3 minutes left. So social vitality, for me, this has really increased. I mean, I guess I've been entertaining a lot and I haven't entertained in 20 years or so, but I have people over almost every weekend, like a small group, sit on the deck, grill. My grill has changed my life. And that was a gift from a housewarming gift. So put some stuff in the chat about social vitality. What's the next one? Environmental vitality, mental, emotional vitality. What's happened? Or just think about it for next time, for tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow, Andrew? Oh, Andrew's social vitality has increased a lot since April. Fully vaccinated, yep. Vaccination makes a difference, and making summer plans with friends. Social vitality is foundational to me, so it's nice to get back into that flow. Let's go to the next slide, Andrew. Wait, do we have the next slide? Should be what's happening this week, not this one. What's next? The next slide, please. So tomorrow, living your best life with one of our favorites, Sarita Sashington. And then we're gonna have a discussion about momentum and motivation on Wednesday. And then Thursday, making your strategic plan with Alexandra and Robin. And then Friday, we have a holistic vitality cafe. So we hope we'll see you later this week. And then next week, I mean, what we're going to be doing for June is diving deep into some aspects of vitality. So we're starting with decolonization for well-being with Ahmad Abojirudeh, and they've been here previously as a presenter, and they are doing a whole week on decolonization for well-being. So our first week in June is Ahmad. And we also have a new deck coming out, a new cafe deck on grief. It's called Grief Compass, Navigating Trauma and Loss. And we're going to be focusing, we had a really incredible content development team for that. And they're going to be guest speakers, Yoli Maya, who you all might know from previous webinars, and Alejandro Salinas, who is new to Be Strong Families, and he does a lot on dreams and grief. And then we also have Judith Ehrman Shapiro, who's a psychologist and a dance therapist who's done a lot of work on grief, and they're going to be presenting. But we're also going to be having conversations related to the themes in the Grief Compass deck. And then we're also, I think from there, we are moving into special needs. Is that correct, Andrew?
Yes, I believe so.
In later June, we'll be doing special needs, families with children with special needs. And for all those who are working with families, or if you have children with special needs, that's another deck that's going to be coming out soon. So we're going to be diving into that as well. And then, well, stay tuned because we're at 12:30. So cafe cards for grandparents, Larissa said. All right, you want to help? Do you want to do grandparents, Larissa? And let's just talk a minute. Okay, good. We'll take your name and we'll be in touch. We are nothing if not responsive to what the community wants. So Tammy says she'll help too. I think often when we talk about grandparents, there's there's grandparents raising grandchildren, and then there's grandparents. So the question is, are we doing will we mix it up? Will we do both? Those are some of the questions that we'll need to decide. But if we've got 2 people ready to serve on the content design team, we can move this up and we can get started on it probably in the fall or maybe over the summer. But we will add it to our list and it'll come out next year. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being on this journey with us, and we will